All right, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about chapter 14 of To Kill a Mockingbird. Atticus Finch describes the action of this chapter fairly well in his quote, from rape to riot to runaways. And so really what you have here is the three things that happen in this chapter is the rape, or talk about the rape, the riot between the family, and then the runaway of Dill. So the town is starting to notice the Finch children when they're out and about. And these are people that Scout and Jim don't know. So these aren't Scout and Jim's immediate acquaintances who already know about the Atticus taking the Tom Robinson case. Um, Here's some quotes, two of them. There's his children, or yonder's some Finches. Or two, they can go loose and rape up the countryside for them who run this county, for all who run this county care. So this idea that, that people are noticing the Finch children. Um, and Scott even asked in the first page on 154 the definition of rape. Atticus says rape was carnal knowledge of a female by force without her consent. And then we get into the fights within the family. Scout, asks if she can go out to Calpurnia's place, and Aunt Alexandra says no. Scott responds that I wasn't talking to you, I was talking to Atticus. And Atticus says that you need to mind him, Calpurnia, and Aunt Alexandra as long as she's in the house. Scout goes to the bathroom. While she's in the bathroom, there is this discussion between Aunt Alexandra and Atticus about Calpurnia. Note that one of the reasons Aunt Alexandra does not want Scott to go out to Calpurnia's house is because she's African American, and Calpurnia is beneath the Finches in Aunt Alexandra's terminology. Not so much that Aunt Alexandra asks Atticus to get rid of her. Atticus says, Alexandra, Calpurnia is not leaving this house until she wants to. You may think otherwise, but I couldn't have got along without her all these years. She's a faithful member of this family, and you'll simply have to accept things the way they are. Besides, sister, I don't want you working your head off for us. You've no reason to do so. We still need Cal as much as we did ever. So there's this argument, this fight really between Atticus and Alexandra about Calpurnia. The other thing that we find out is that Jim tells Scout that she needs to stop worrying Atticus because Atticus is worried about the Tom Robinson case. And that gets Scout and Jim into a fight. As Scout says on page 157, with that I was gone. You damn morphodite, I'll kill you. He was sitting on the bed, and it was easy to grab his front hair and land one on his mouth. And so she's fighting Jim. This is boy number 5 she fights. Atticus comes and breaks it up. This is the riot section of the book, of the chapter. And so then they discover, as Atticus is breaking it up, this is Aunt Alexandra comes in and says, just one of the things I've been telling you about. And this is a phrase that united both Jim and Scout together because Aunt Alexandra is complaining to Atticus about the way the kids have been raised. And of course, the kids don't think they've been raised poorly at all. And so then Scout finds that there's something under the bed. She thinks it's a snake. She gets Jim. Jim comes with a broom, and out comes Dill. And Dill is covered with dirt. And he gives this, they asked him how he got here, and he gives this one of a typical Dill stories. Dill recited this narrative. Having been found in chains and left to die in the basement, there were basements in Meriden, by his new father, who disliked him and secretly kept him alive on raw field peas by a passing farmer who heard his cries for help. The good man poked the bushel prod by prod through the ventilator. Dill worked himself free by pulling the chains from the wall. Still, in waist manacles, he wandered 2 miles out of Medellin, where he was discovered by where he discovered a small animal show and was immediately engaged to wash the camel. He traveled with the show all over Mississippi until his infallible sense of direction told him he was in Abbott County, Alabama, just across the river from Macomb. He walked the rest of the way. So that's Dill's story. Of course, the truth is, and Jim pries this out of him, is that he took $13 from his mother's purse, took the train to Macomb Junction, and walked the rest of the way to the house. This Dill relieves sort of the tension of the household. Atticus is made aware that he's there, and we get the story that that Dill left because his mom and new dad just weren't interested in them, and they get this talk between Scout and Jim, or Scout and Dill, and finally you get this: why do you reckon Boo never went off? Because no one was interested in Boo. And so there's this connection between Dill and Boo at this end of this chapter, in the fact that like no one was interested in them. And this might be one of the things that has fascinated Dill about Boo, because he sees something of himself in this Boo-like character. And he asks, or Scout asks, why do you reckon Boo's never run off? And Dill responds, maybe he doesn't have anywhere to run off to. Dill at least has somewhere to run off to. He has the Finches and his aunt. Boo has nobody. All right, so this chapter brings out a couple things. Really, it brings out the purpose of this is to bring out the tension, the mounting tension before the court case happens. The tension within the town noticing the children and talking about the Finches. The tension within the family, the tension between Atticus and Alexandra over Calpurnia, and over how the kids have been raised, and the tension between Scout and Jim. Dill comes in to save the day. He's the relief, and really the whole chapter reinforces this theme of the meaning of duty, the duty of one another to take care of each other, the duty of the Finches to take in Dill when he's run away. And it reinforces this idea that they have a duty to each other. The Finch family does, even Aunt Alexandra, and they have a duty to Calpurnia. Okay, that's it. We'll see what happens in chapter 15. Talk to you tomorrow.